Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode is the real reason why financial advice has not worked for you. So that means we're going to personalize today's conversation. And it's going to be something that you deeply need because we live in a society that conditions us. And this is very good for our brain. Our mind likes to do the same thing over and over. It's very important to our mind to stay efficient. It's a very simple software, and so simplicity is efficiency, less energy consumption is one of its values. So very important, and that's why conditioning works because the more conditioning we receive, the more efficient we become at doing the same thing over and over and over. And so we find ourselves being boxed in with generic advice, one size fit all. This will work for you because it worked for me. And all of those things, they sound really nice, you know? It's really good. It's a good concept. But what we forget is how unique we each are. Every single one human here on earth is very unique. And this is a reason why COVID killed so many, one of the reasons, right? I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to speak so broadly about it, but COVID killed so many people because we're so different. You could have a very healthy person and they still got killed by COVID, even though one of the criterias of being in danger of dying faster was having a low immune system. Okay, yes. But some people who had low immune system didn't die and they were exposed multiple times. So we're so unique. And so it just really helps us understand there's not one size fit all when it comes to a lot of advice, and especially with money. All right, my friend, before I go any further in this conversation, I want to invite you to leave us a review to the podcast. These reviews are so useful. Not only they let us know what you appreciate about what you're listening to, but they allow other women to have access to get this popular in their feed. So we thank you so much. It takes a few seconds. All you have to do is scroll down all the way to the bottom when you're on the home page of the podcast, and you will see a section at the bottom that says leave a review. You can already get started by leaving us a 5-star rating. And then if you're on Apple Podcasts, you can leave us a review and really tell us honestly what you love about it, because that means a world to us. So thank you. So going back to the conversation about the reason why financial advice hasn't worked for you is that, I'm not a conspiracy theorist person. And so I'm not going to go into wandering the wild, but I have had enough conversations to know that a society is built on very different things and very specific pillars. One of the things that we know that can be proven about our society is the less people know about money, the more controlled they are, right? So when you keep someone in ignorance, it creates a dependency. They depend on you because they don't know much. So if you think about it that way, we're not taught money in school. And then we're given very standardized advice when it comes to money from all kinds of places, but no really real institution that teaches us specifics about money. And when we do learn about money, we learn more like strategies, outside things. Those are great. But there's one thing that is missing to make it complete, to make it applicable, and to personalize it. And that is your individuality, your nervous system. You can't forget or you can't bypass how the nervous system reacts to advice, to counsel, to suggestions, to what should be done. That's part of the equation, 100%. And everyone has a different reaction when they're told to do something. And that's the part that we forget. So for some people, which is so amazing, they grew up around the conversation about money. So without even knowing, they subconsciously have normalized the topic of money. And they do some things today out of their subconscious on automatic, and it works for them, right? They're not even conscious of their money philosophy. They're not conscious of the reason why they do what they do. It just works because subconsciously, ever since they were little, they've attached a story about money that produces powerful results in their lives. So that's great. But if you're listening to this podcast, you're not one of those people. You're one of the people that did not get much education on money, and you kind of had to figure it out as you went in your life, and the results are less than desirable. And so you want to do something about it. Welcome to my world, my friend. This was me. I grew up and money was never talked about. I remember my mom going on business trips and coming back home, and we would like go through her suitcase and her purses, and she loved leaving money all over the place, and we just found money. So for me, there was always more money. I never thought money ran out, right? But also, because we didn't talk about money, I didn't associate any value to money, so I just spent it away. And so that was the subconscious story that I had created when it came to money. And that story creates a lot of negative results that are not beneficial for my future until I changed the story. And that's when I was able to see my circumstances being completely different. So I was given advice when I was still running with the story that money, there's lots of money, there's always more money. Yet money does not really have value in my eyes because it's just this thing that I see once in a while and I don't talk about it. So I was given advice, create a budget. Okay, great. Save money, put money in a savings account. Okay, great. Invest money in the stock market. Okay, great. Prepare for retirement. Fantastic. And if I have the story that there's always plenty of money, why would I want to worry about those things when I'm in my teen years, when I'm in my early 20s? Do you see what I mean? And if I did, of course, I didn't consider that story, and that then following the advice, the generic advice, never worked. There was no drive, first of all, to follow the advice. But even if I did follow it, I still would like bump up against a wall because my philosophy, my drive was not on protecting my future. It was about living in the moment. So my actions would follow that. You see what I'm saying? Like that is so important to notice. Like when you think about your own situation and you think about all the advice you've received, everything you've seen Instagram posts, maybe you read the newspaper. I do that once in a while, right? Maybe you watch the news. Maybe you watch Money on Fox News, the Money Show. You see so much information about money and you're thinking you want to apply some of this information. But for whatever reason, you still feel stuck. Like you're not taking full action on what you think it's good for you. You have this idea of what could be good and you want to take action, but you're not taking action. But that's because there's an undercurrent story running, a narrative running that's actually driving those actions. Consciously, which is only 5% of your all of your thoughts, consciously you want to do the thing you think it's going to be good for you because the guru said to do this, right? Somebody gave you advice to do this. But 95% of your thoughts are subconscious. So that is where you have that narrative about money, that relationship you have with money, that philosophy. And that's what drives your actions. Because if you only have 5% of consciousness, it's driving nothing. Like your consciousness is just helping you know that you're alive, you're human, you're in the world, but it's not actually responsible for the actions you take. It's your subconscious that is responsible for the actions you take. Unless you change your story of what money represents for you, the actions you take will always yield the results that fit the current money story you have, the current money philosophy you have. And it's up to you to bring yourself up to awareness to notice that, okay, the generic financial advice sounds great. I think it would yield really good results, but I need to set the foundation first. I need to see what I need to see to change what I need to change. This is so important because as physical beings, we focus so much on the doing. We're always just trying to do. I was telling my community the other day on the coaching call that my nephew has decided that he wants a six-pack abs, right? So he's decided he's going to work out. Sounds great. What do you think he did? What's the first thing he did? He got up in the morning and he went to work out. That sounds really nice. But here's the truth. That is not sustainable. He's not going to wake up every morning and go work out, or he's not going to be able to set up a schedule and follow through on the schedule to go work out. And I can actually prove that to you to be true because he hasn't worked out again. But he's like, I'm ready. I really think I want to be someone who works out every day. Okay, you can say that. Remember, your consciousness is only 5%, but your subconscious is where your whole life, your identity lies. So if you don't change that narrative, you will constantly be taking actions that only reveal what's underneath the surface. And so when you see the results you're getting, what we do, because we're physical beings and we want to just change the results and the actions, we get frustrated. It's like you get some financial advice, you try to apply it and it doesn't work. You get frustrated. There are two ways that I see this goes for women. There's the woman who thinks something is wrong with her, she'll never figure it out. And the other woman who thinks the system is broken, she'll never figure it out. So you may not think something is wrong with you, but it's the system's fault, right? So either way, you don't really have control. And so you're still getting results you don't like. And you're not in control. Versus, I want to offer you that you have way more control, way more than you give yourself credit. And I'm going to show you how to take that control. Because it's there, but if you don't see it, you won't be able to get a hold of it and nothing will change. You'll be the same. You'll go through the same motions and get the frustration and keep listening to advice and tell yourself this one will work. And so you're going to keep hopping from strategy to strategy. And money will always be this mysterious thing that is just never revealed to you. And it doesn't have to be that way. It can totally be opposite, and we can flip the script on all counts. Okay? You can't change the experience if you don't acquire new knowledge. And new knowledge is not out there. It's within you. So you need to uncover, what is it about, what do you think about money? Like, you really want to know how you identify yourself when it comes to money. Do you cringe when you hear someone say, I love money? What does that mean to you when you hear that? Why did you cringe? That's a really good question. You may feel like, what's the point of this? Like, that's not relevant to me wanting a raise at work or me wanting to pay off my debt. But I promise you, that is the most relevant part of the narrative, of the conversation that is not addressed. If you hear someone saying, I'm very rich, and that makes you feel a certain way, I want you to ask yourself why. And how did it make you feel? Like, can you identify how that certain way? What is it? Okay. I had a client once who said that, yes, he really wanted to make a lot of money. He did not have a problem at all calling himself wealthy or thinking about making a lot of money. Okay, that's great. But he was speaking from his consciousness, not his subconscious. Because deep down, we unveiled a lot of different money beliefs that were preventing him from seeing the result from the thought, I love money, I don't mind being wealthy, I love the idea of being rich. If that's what you truly believe in your subconscious, then your results will show that. But if your results are opposite to what you say you believe in, then there is more investigation needed. And that's exactly what we did. And so it was really fascinating to see all the limiting beliefs he had. But to pull them up to the surface served. So that's the new knowledge that we acquired. And from there, you can change the experience. You can start working on a different relationship with money so that you can create different results. This is extremely necessary, my friend. And here's why. We will always have the same financial advice. It's not really going to change much. The market might change a little bit with AI coming into the picture. Things might change a bit. But money is just the same. It's going to be the same. When you think about the strategy aspect of it, it will be the same. Save money, plan for the future, different containers where you can put money to create more interest. There's a lot of options. Maybe more options will come along. But those things will always be the same. It's just like the dieting, right? You want to lose weight. There's really specific strategies that you have to follow, and those things won't change. You have to watch what you eat. You have to work out. You have to sleep. You have to. So those things, those out in the world strategies, they work, but they only are effective long-term, sustainably long-term, when you include the new identity that goes along with the habits that you want to implement. And that's the reason why financial advice given out on the internet is not going to work for you. This is the reason why we have resources that we use for our clients. We have the easy saving system that is like an amazing dashboard that helps you save money in the most unconscious way. Like a lot of times people don't save money because they're worried that, oh, I'm going to run out. I'm not making that much money to be able to save money. Or even when you do make money, you have the broke mindset. So you don't see the space for you to save money. So the easy saving system, we created it to make that possible. So it's a beautiful tool that helps you with a physical logistical strategy, right? We have that. We have the budget toolkit. You want to get started with budgeting, we have the perfect roadmap blueprint for you to do that. There's a cheat sheet in there walking you every single step of what to do to create a budget for the first time. There's a template for you to do that. So we have the thing. I also created a document to help you achieve your goals. Very simple, but like really lay down step by step how to start dreaming, and then from dream to implementation and follow through. So we have these resources and a few more. But I don't leave the conversation with these resources because these are strategies that if you are a person who has a certain story about money, and within your story there's an embedded thought about saving is hard, saving money is hard, or there's not enough money to also save, then I'm going to offer you the easy saving system. You're going to try to use it, but you won't stay consistent. You see what I'm saying? There has to be a switch. You have to flip something. Now, when I say this, I'm not asking you to overhaul your entire belief system, because that is another way for you to drop the ball, to feel overwhelmed, and to run away the opposite way. Okay? But something needs to flip, to switch immediately for you to be able to start taking action. And then you keep building on that flip, that switch, so that you continue to shift your belief system. And then you will be able to sustainably take action. So, and this is why when I offer it, if you download it, that's already the beginning of the flip, because you're already hoping for something different, which is great. I always say the beginning of a different life is to believe in the possibility of a different life. I was talking to a friend the other day and she was saying like the market is so bad right now, millennials cannot purchase a home because who can afford it? And I was telling her, before I told her what I said, she asked me, what do we do about that? Like, what can we do? Like, if it really seems impossible for millennials to be able to purchase a home. And I told her, you have to switch that belief system. Even if it's statistically true, you have to recognize I'm the unicorn. I will break the rule. I'm the one that's going to go against the grain. I will be the one to purchase the home. And she was like, so how can you actually do that? Like, if it's not statistically possible. And I said, you can't look at circumstances to determine what you believe in. You can believe in anything you want because you want to. It has nothing to do with the truth. The truth that people say is the truth. The truth is what you believe in. This is fundamental. If you live in this world and you want the truth to be what people say, then you are allowing other people's belief system to guide your life. Because whatever is the truth is what people have decided. It's their opinions. It's not actually the truth. You see what I'm saying? I teach a tool that I call the sequence. And in the sequence is really what happens in our brain, and that's what makes us human. It's you have a thought, right? Your world is filled with thoughts about circumstances. Circumstances are things you have no control over. The world, people, and things. The past, definitely not the future, my friend. That's not included in the circumstances because you can always change your future. But if you think about it, if you have a circumstance that's neutral because you can't control it, you have a thought about it. That thought generates an emotion, not the circumstance, the thought. Okay, so if you have an emotion because you had the thought, then that emotion is going to drive you to take actions that are going to create a certain result, which means the results you have come from your thoughts, and thoughts are optional. You could decide to change your thoughts to get different results. So if you allow someone to infuse you with the thought, the market is difficult, so millennials cannot purchase a home, that will drive results that you may not agree with. If you want to change those results, you got to focus on what do I think about the market. The circumstance in this case would be, here's the rate of mortgage. Okay, so we're in 2026. The circumstance would be specific rate of purchasing a mortgage. You would want to put that in the circumstance line. And then you would want to have a thought about it. But you need to be specific and choose a thought that would give you an emotion that drives you to action that create the result of, I am buying a home. And that is how you change your circumstances, from doing the deep work from within. So that's the same thing that goes with your finances. You'll receive advice. Okay? That's great. But your thought about the money is what's going to determine your results. No one wants to sit down to do this work though. Because like sitting down to look at your insides and see what's happening and examine your thoughts and examine your belief system, examine your philosophy, sounds so boring for some. Not for me though. That I've done that for my entire life. I've always spent a lot of time within myself anyway, it was just something I've always been fascinated about, right? So embracing this work has only been natural to me. But a lot of people don't like to sit down and look at themselves. We had a client who told us, she would never, she knew she needed to create a budget, but to do that that meant she needed to sit down to look at her numbers. She didn't want to do that. She didn't want to look at her numbers. And that's not unusual. A lot of women avoid their numbers because they say it's uncomfortable to look at them. I mean, yeah, you're just looking at your reality. But that's the work that's required. Okay, so you do that internal work, and then whatever strategy you use, it doesn't matter which strategy you use. it will work. You will get a hold of your finances. You will take your control back because you start to recognize that you get to decide what results you want to create in your life. Most people want to change their circumstances before they change their belief system. That doesn't work. That's not how this is biology. It doesn't work. You have to change your insides, and then your insides is what reflects on the outside. Now, you could change your circumstances, but if you're not paying attention to what's happening on the inside, eventually you will go back to the way it's happening on the inside. Like, people get a raise, you get more money, right? That's great. More money doesn't fix the dysfunctional relationship you have with money from the inside. You've got to fix it. Otherwise, that more money becomes less money because, you know? So I want to give you an example of how this internal work is so powerful. Early in January, I mapped out. I was so excited to walk into the new year. I was so excited. I had been excited for a full month, all of December, because in December, we set up our community to set the goals for this year. So from December, we were already like anticipating, excited about the year coming, how we were going to implement everything. So walking into January, I mapped out everything that I wanted to complete, especially for quarter one. Okay, because I broke down the year in 4 quarters, what I was going to do. On paper, it looked super organized, purposeful, neat, directed, precise. But in my body, it felt really heavy. I had taken all that excitement from December, taken it all the way down to January. I had deadlines. There was a lot of stuff. And now looking back, I did that quarter one of 2025 too. So much to do, right? Not too much, but so much to do. So there were a lot of deadlines that I had on my calendar, a lot of projects that are overlapping, and I could sense that overwhelm coming on to me. And I do not like the word overwhelm. Let's just say that, okay? But it was coming on. It was coming on. I kept hearing this whisper like, you're doing too much. You probably bit too much, more than you can chew. Who do you think you are? You think you can pull this off? Do you really think you can make this happen? So technically speaking, nothing is wrong at this stage, because when you look at the calendar, everything fits. I wasn't double booking myself. I wasn't underbooking myself. It was the schedule worked, but the story I had in my head was forming, and it wasn't a story that was becoming helpful because I was feeling the heaviness from the feeling of overwhelm, right? I had to make a deliberate choice. I did make a deliberate choice, which means consciously I chose to just tell myself a different story. Okay, so it wasn't like, oh, let me go to the coach and have a full hour conversation about this, or let me journal for hours about. No, I just decided I just need to change the story. So the story that I had that oh, maybe I bit too much more than I can chew, maybe my calendar is too full, I switched that to I have plenty of time, I'm very capable, I know how to execute. So guess what happened once I started believing in that new story. Okay, my energy started to lift. I started feeling that drive to show up for the task. I stopped dragging myself, because the first 2 weeks of January, it was a full drag on through the mud. It was fascinating to me how much I just felt like, where is the excitement that I usually have? But once I flipped the story, the excitement came back in. Recording the podcast became exciting again. Okay? I started feeling clean about my decisions and moving on faster, recovering faster from the weekend or whatever, something that would slow me down. No. I was just like back on. So I started feeling that momentum again. I'm still riding that cloud. And so by the end, what happened was the heaviness dissipated very gently, very slowly, but it dissipated. And that's because when I did the calendaring, the planning, the organizing of quarter one, I needed to also bring my nervous system on board. I needed the internal story to tell the same story that I wanted to tell on the outside. So I didn't need to push harder. I just needed to bring my brain on board, my nervous system, my whole body. We all needed to be on the same page so that we can create the results we wanted. And now we're only halfway through the quarter, or maybe a little bit over the first half. And man, it's amazing how much productive and how much results I'm creating. Because now I'm running on a very powerful story. See, think of your story about money as the fuel that creates the results you want with money. So imagine if you have fuel that is mixed with something toxic. It may work, but the engine is going to die sooner and the engine is going to suffer. So you want clean fuel. And that's the powerful story you need to have with your finances. So if you're still thinking that's too much work, you don't want to sit down to do the work, I want to offer you that I don't want you to keep getting the same results over and over and over. Because here's the thing, you probably hear the advice. If you want something different, do something different. And then you go and do something different. The doing is not from the outside. The doing is from the inside. To do something different, you have to be someone different. So that's where you want to take the work. So you're going to get all the advice you're going to get, but I want you to do the work. So I've mentioned a few resources that we have. If you want any of them as you're shifting the story you're telling yourself, we're going to put the link in the notes, in the show notes. I can never remember. I'm mixing it between when I go live on social media and when I'm recording the podcast. But we're going to put the links of all the resources that I mentioned in the show notes. I mentioned the easy saving system. This is magical. When you do use it, I want you to reach out to me on social media and let me know how amazing it is. I also talked about the budget toolkit. And then I think I talked about the turning your dreams into reality workbook, which is really achieving your goals. This is a great time for you to do that because we're in the beginning of the year. You can still set goals for the year. Use that framework. You're going to love it. So listen, all this to say, the work has to be done. It's not easy work. And this is exactly why I love doing what I do. I am one that loves a good challenge. And when I overcame my own emotions about money and changed my story, and then now that I do that with my clients and our community, it is so intoxicating. I love watching the shifts, the changes, the reality, circumstances flipping and changing because someone changed their identity. It's so amazing. So you want to make more money, you want to steward money better, you want to prepare for the future, you want to take vacations with no stress, you want to be able to be generous as much as you want to travel the world. All the things you want to do with money. Yes, it's absolutely possible. Listen, my friend, we talk about the basic needs of humans, right? Shelter, food, and clothing. They're all rooted in money. So yes, you want more money. And so you have to be a person who's open to getting more money. So let's make that happen. Let's start there. Okay, my friend. I hope this was helpful. This will change the game for you. You have to focus on who you are on the inside. And if you need guidance with that, you want to shift that story, reach out to us. Go to our website at greenwealthlegacy.com and sign up for a free consultation. Let's talk about how to flip the script for you so that you can create the results you want. This is happening every day for our clients. This can happen for you too, because money is very personal and we're going to personalize your process. All right, my friends, I love you all so much. Have an incredible rest of your week. Bye.